Hey everybody, welcome to the earliest alert. A lot to break down and discuss. First off, though, a quick update on Maria. Barely a hurricane. Will likely get down to a tropical storm status once it gets even more into the influence there of Jose's upwelling, where Jose's was there for so long across the northern Atlantic that it allowed all that cooler water to be brought to the surface. So that is going to eventually choke Maria and really ease the system down. But still a very windy system because it is so broad. So it's going to be a slow winding down process that will take place. So even though it will weaken to a tropical storm, the effects are pretty much the same as they are right now. All right, so still forecast to be a Cat 1, and then you see that tropical storm symbol kick in as we get into Wednesday morning, late tomorrow night, and then it will eventually move away from the U.S. Mainly, it don't have any models anymore aiming toward back to the United States. That is certainly some good news there, and it's all because of what's happening here. As the big debate was how quickly we would get our fronts through here and our high pressure to build in, and everything looks to be timed out just right to push Maria out to sea. So here's the cool thing about it. You could look at the satellite image of Maria. Very pretty. Looks like a little seminoe right there across the western Atlantic. The influence of high pressure in our area, though, is kind of like on cotton candy. If you had it in your hand or a cotton ball and you pull it out, it's doing that effect, and it's streaming in these cirrus clouds in eastern Kentucky. So we saw them in our sunrise for this morning. Meanwhile, to the west is where our next system's rolling in. Low pressure up here will drag this cold front into Canada. The front is going to get very stretched out. Let me get rid of this. The front is going to get very stretched out as it crosses our area for Wednesday. And it's going to be the same thing as the cotton ball effect with these clouds, stretched out so much that even though it's still passing through, it's just not a lot of forcing with it to really go crazy when it comes to rainfall. So the rainfall with the front is looking very meager. It will still cool us down. That will still work its way in. But it's the secondary front that will move in behind that for the weekend that we'll talk about that really is going to be the one that's going to be more noticeable to get us to that autumn feel for the weekend. So that's how the overall game plan is as we head through the next 2 days here. So there's those cirrus clouds in eastern Kentucky. Pretty shot there. It's going to be a hot day today. Here is our short-range models. The RPM, it's got us up there close to 90 again, as we've seen the past couple of days. Sometimes we can be a notch or two above that or below that, but overall we've either hit 90 or been higher. So this will be day number 6 of 90 degrees. Interesting enough about that is our longest streak of 90s in a row this summer season or the year has been 7 back in July. Chance we may break that if we hit 90 on Wednesday. Now it's going to be a little more of a struggle with the front moving through. Wouldn't surprise me though either. But today, the best moisture fields with high pressure to our east right in through here. So it's only just the western side of wave country. It's got that 10% chance for a downpour today. And that may very well extend all the way to Harrison County or even western Jefferson County here in Louisville. But I think overall we're talking about a Evansville, Illinois, Carbondale kind of thing. That will fade out once we get into sunsets. And then tomorrow, just a bit more to the west. Very similar deal with the best moisture content being found there, west of 65, otherwise hot. Once again, in our area, I'm pretty sure they'll probably extend the air quality alert for tomorrow based on the wind fields. They don't look very, very impressive tomorrow either, so a lot of stagnant air. Then as we head into the front day, here's where the front begins to move in. Now, the RPM is a little excited about the rainfall part, but it has a tendency to read cumulus clouds, too, as a lot of rain. So it's the reason why I'm not counting a lot of this as being a wall of rain like it looks on here. I think it's going to be just a broken band of showers in the afternoon period. But how quickly that moves in will determine how warm we actually get Wednesday. All right, so that's the key on now through the first front. The second front will arrive this weekend. The atmosphere is going to be dried out so much already from the first front moving in for Wednesday that the second one doesn't have a lot to work with. And this is a strong high. I think last I saw is almost a 1030 high dropping in from the Great Lakes. This is a strong high pressure, so it's really going to suppress the atmosphere a lot. There is a bit of low-level moisture on Saturday that I saw that there could be very flat, close to the ground cumulus clouds that could develop Saturday. That's possible. Not uncommon considering the time of the year where it's pretty cold aloft, but the ground can still warm up pretty good because the sun angle is still fairly high. So we'll see how that plays out for Saturday. But either way, we're not talking about rains, what I wanted to get from that. And then Saturday night looks to be the coolest night if it holds true now, and we have a clear sky and the winds relax and everything. Then there could be some lower 40s in spots, but we're not looking at a frost issue with this round here. All right. So after it passes by, we then look to the west. Got to figure out what is going on here. And really the high pressure that moves in here for this weekend is going to be a key factor in that. Let me start you off with the upper air pattern of the GFS model. Here's Maria. Anywhere you see green is lower pressure. It is usually where unsettled weather is. So the best way I can describe this to you, and it's not verbatim, is green area would be rain and the yellow would be dry, which is high pressure. It's not always verbatim just like that, but it gives you a general idea of a wet or moist flow where that is and where the dry air is concentrated at high pressure. So it gives you a general concept, okay? So hopefully that helps explain the map a bit. So here we go. This is going to be later this week. Now, as we did this weekend, that's when the high drops in. That's the second front on the leading edge of that that'll move in. And notice there's very little moisture on the leading edge of that, so nothing to talk about when it comes to rainfall. The Rockies become very unsettled. A lot of action kicks up there, but we are dry. High pressure takes control of us. Then as we head into early next week, here's where problems develop. We have a low pressure that's going to move into Canada. It has a cold front with it and another little low on the southern part of that. The question is this going to split off in the split flow that is developing here with the subtropical jet and the polar jet? Is that going to split off and then become like a cutoff low in the southeast, or is it going to just fade out altogether as it gets pulled with the front into Canada because the high is so strong and the positioning of the high is just at the right latitude to where nothing's going to come really east, everything's going to have to go around it. That's what the GFS has, and that's how it plays it out. It brings everything around the high, and the high actually moves back to the west a bit more and really establishes itself for a fairly dry period. Now, when you look at the Euro model, it starts off good. It's got Maria, high pressure, dry weather. Then as we head into this weekend, it's also got the strong high that overtakes the area. So far so good on that. And then here's the difference. We get into next week, and it takes that low quickly into Canada and then splits off this piece as a cutoff low, if you will, right into the Tennessee Valley. Now, it's a bit odd, I will say that, and it is conflicting with its other runs it's had. In fact, the last run before this for yesterday afternoon was more of the GFS idea of it going north. So this is tough to buy into. It's just one run. The Canadian kind of hints at it, so that made my eyes raise my eyebrows a bit, thinking, okay, maybe the Euro's picking up on something that we may see here. Notice the high is not exactly at the same latitude as us. It's a little more northeast, which would allow for something to go underneath it instead of up and over it. The difference in that is versus a sunny sky and fairly warm weather versus cloud cover and spotty showers and chillier temperatures in the 60s. So it's worth watching, but right now it's a very low confidence setup. Right now, especially without just one run to work with here. I need more. And then after that, it's the same idea that the high is going to establish itself again over the east, and everything's going to go up and over here. And you've got your subtropical jet and your polar jet, and every little cutoff low is going to struggle here to get into the eastern part of the country with a strong high like this. So we will see how it all plays out. So the earliest alert, I've trended it toward a cooler forecast for now. I'll go with upper 60s, lower 70s, and increase the cloud cover for early in the week, and we'll see how that plays out. Otherwise, the warming trend should commence once that's gone and the high establish itself, and there is a chance by the 8th we may have to add some 80s into the 14-day. But this looks to be a back-and-forth pattern. There will likely be another drop coming our way toward mid-month, and then another surge of warm air, which would time out if these are spaced out right. The next surge of warm air then after the mid-month cool down would be toward Halloween. That's it for today. We'll say it all looks tomorrow.